With Amy K YouTube Live, and today I'm going to show you how I made a fun shaker card. It's a Christmas shaker card with the Pine Tree Trimmings stamp set bundle. This is one of the new ones from the online exclusives that are available to order now from Stampin' Up. So lots of fun things in the bundle, and love that it's got some coordinating little shaker pieces. And oops, I'm looking at my screen and going, yep, we're way out of, way all sorts of crazy crooked. So again, one of these days I'll get it all figured out, and then I'll forget where I put it. And golly, I'm not sure that I'm making it any better as I'm moving stuff around. So I was thinking I was getting it more centered, but I don't know that I am. So hey, Pam and Michelle and Karen, thanks for hopping in today. Now, I do realize that I used this big chunky ribbon on here, and there's no way this card is going to go in a regular envelope, but I figured I might as well make it really thick just because this shaker, hopefully you can see it on here, there's no way this is going into a regular envelope anyway, so you're going to have to put it into a bubble envelope or a box or hand delivered or whatever. So you're definitely not going to be mailing this in a regular envelope. So I figured I might as well go ahead and add the big fat ribbon on the edge of it with a big fat bow, because there's no way it'll go into a regular envelope anyway. So if you're going to do it, you might as well do it big. That's what I thought. So hey, Amy and Karen and Carol and Judy and Roxanne and Debbie and Carol, thanks for joining today. So this is the, hey, Pamela. So this is the Pine Tree Trimmings stamp set. It's a cute one for Christmas. Obviously, you've got your trees in here. There's a little set of ornaments, a couple of little gift packages, and a bow, a little star, and then just some fun sentiments in it. This one that says "From Our House to Yours" does fit nicely inside this little tree die cut. So if you wanted to put that as the shaker part of your card, you could certainly do that. So yeah, it's a fun set, lots of fun to play with. So hey, Kathy and Terry, thanks for joining. So again, Pine Tree Trimmings, it is one of the online exclusive items that is available to order now from Stampin' Up. And then it has a coordinating set of dies. Again, these are bundled together. It's a little bit of a smaller die set. So this Pine Tree will obviously cut out your tree images. There's a little strand of garland here. This cuts out your star. This one will cut out your bow. And then these two cut out the two gift packages. Now, of course, I didn't use any of the accessory dies on this card today. I just used the tree die, so I kept it pretty simple. But like I said, I thought the shaker was lots of fun, and definitely, again, not one you're going to be mailing out to everybody on your list for Christmas, but it's definitely a fun one that you can mail, or, well, mail out in a bubble mailer, hand it out, whatever. Just won't be mailing it with a regular postage stamp here in the U.S. anyway. So, hey, Charlotte, thanks for hopping in. Glad you were over here checking it out. So, all right. Let me set that aside. A couple other things that I did use. These are the branching out dies, and these are from the mini catalog. So the mini catalog that just started. This is a great set of dies. I've only used the stamp set, I think, once, but I'm using these dies all the time. So you definitely just, if you don't love the stamp set that goes with it, although I don't know why you wouldn't, definitely get the dies anyway, because everything in here is standalone, so you don't need to have the stamp set to coordinate with it, although you're going to want it, but you definitely don't need to get it. So, but you will want these dies because they're pretty awesome. They fit really nicely on card fronts, and I love the stitched and kind of the little scalloped corners or whatever you want to call those. And then I did use the More Messages die, which is also one of the online exclusives, and just use one of the openings here in the die set, or the die. It's actually all one big die. So I did use this little opening to cut out my sentiment here on my card front. All right, set those aside as well. And then again, just wanted to post a quick reminder about the online exclusives product list. If you haven't seen this list officially posted, Stampin' Up finally put together for us, yay, a list. It's all in one spot. It's a PDF copy. It's on my sidebar of my blog. So if you go to stampwithamyk.com and look down the right-hand sidebar, you'll see an image that looks like this. And if you click on it, you will be able to open up the PDF list, and it's got all of the new online exclusives in it that became available on September 3rd. So go take a look at it. It does make shopping much, much easier because you can kind of see everything and see what coordinates and all that stuff. So if you haven't seen it yet, go take a look at that. And then to find the online exclusives, they're obviously not in any catalog. They are in the online store, and you can find them by going to stampinup.com and then clicking on the little menu button on the upper left and then online exclusives after that. So let me know if you have trouble finding them in the online store, but they're pretty easy to find out there. So, okay, so I've got some of the Elegant Pine Snowflakes Designer Series paper. This is also one of the new online exclusive items. Flip side of it has got those pretty snowflakes on it. So my video that I did on Tuesday actually featured the stamp set and dies that coordinate with this paper. And yes, the dies do cut out some of these beautiful snowflakes, but I used the flip side of it on my card today, and shaded spruce cardstock. So the Designer Series paper is cut to about 3 7/8 inches by about 5 1/8 inches, and I'm adhering it to a piece of shaded spruce cardstock that measures about 4 inches by 5 1/4. So just adhering those two pieces together, and then we're going to grab a die cut. Did I forget? Oh, no, it's there. Okay. Got a little die cut here that is, oh, sorry. My husband just came in and I didn't close the door, so he's busy yakking on his phone and not even realizing that I'm in here doing a live video. So, all right. So I cut a piece of shaded spruce cardstock with one of the branching out dies, and I used the second largest one. So die cut that piece of shaded spruce cardstock, and we're going to stick that to the card front first because we're going to put the ribbon right over the top of it. So just going to take a little Stampin' seal. Hey, Debbie, thanks for joining. So a little Stampin' seal here on the back of the die cut. And I'm going to place it intentionally over to the left-hand side here a little bit, and I'm going to try to get it on there fairly straight, although no guarantees, just because of the way the bow is pretty chunky and it takes up a bit of room over on this side of the card. So just scooted it over a little bit so that the bow fit a little bit better on my card front. Then I've got that pretty shaded spruce. It is shaded spruce and shaded spruce gold edged ribbon, and it is 7/8 inch wide, so it's a big wide ribbon. It's not going to work for all of your card projects, but I thought it worked pretty well for this one, so I went with it. All right, again, just going to take a chunk of it, and we're going to do what I call a cheater bow. So we're going to take a little bit of Stampin' Seal, and we're going to put it here on the back of this cardstock, and then we're going to stick one side of the ribbon to that chunk of adhesive that I've got back there. And then we're going to take a little more adhesive and we'll put it over here on this side. And then we're just going to take the ribbon and roll it over the front and then lightly tack it down until I make sure that it's in the spot where I want it to be. Hopefully I get it on here fairly straight. Looks like it's a little bit high, so I'm going to just peel it off and move it down just a little bit, trying to get it on here fairly straight. Again, although it doesn't matter that much because you're going to be tying that big old fat bow. All right, so that looks pretty good. I'm going to smoosh it down and make sure that it's stuck down well now. Then I'm going to take a piece of ribbon and I'm just going to slide it here underneath, and we're going to tie the bow on the top. And it looks like you tied the bow with this ribbon, but this is a good way when you've got big chunky ribbon like this, that it's a little harder to manage the bow on the card front. It's kind of a way to cheat it and make it look like you've tied the bow with the same ribbon, and then only you and I know that we kind of cheated and just tied another piece around it. So, all right, gonna take this and try to make these a little smaller and make it a nice looking little bow here. Pull it a little tighter. Again, just making it a little smaller, fussing around with it a little bit. And then we're just gonna trim off the a little bit of the extra here ribbon. And again, like I said, this is gonna be a big thick card, so I did not worry about putting this extra chunky ribbon on it. If you wanna make it a little thinner card, you can certainly use twine or linen thread or something like that to put on it, but I figured that since there was no way I was mailing this with a regular envelope, I'd just go for big. All right, now I'm going to take this and adhere it to the front of a cherry cobbler card base. My card base is cut to 4 1/4 by 11 and scored at 5 1/2 across the middle. This card will work with a standard card base, so if you prefer the book fold card, which is the 5 1/2 by, oh, I don't want dimensionals under here. What am I doing? Yeah. Let me take these off. get busy yakking and I forgot what I was doing. Ay, ay, ay. At least I thought of it before I stuck everything down. All right. What I want to stick this down with is actually Stampin' Seal. Again, not that I didn't care that much how thick it was, but I was trying to stick it down a little bit flatter to the card front. So Stampin' Seal is what I actually used on this to adhere it to the card front. And again, just roughly centering it on the card base. There we go. Phew! So, all right. I'm glad you like the ribbon. All right, so there you go. All right. So basic card is, card front is done. Now comes the fun part. We get to do a little stamping and then a little die cutting. I know I got little dimensional bits stuck everywhere. I'm just a mess. All right. I've got my tree image from the Pine Tree Trimmings stamp set. And this piece is cut to about 3 inches by 4.5. The size on it doesn't really matter. You just want it to be roughly the same size as your third from the largest die that you're going to be die cutting your front panel with. So I'll show you in a second how I cut this, but I wanted this to be roughly the same size so that I could kind of roughly center my tree image on here and know that it was going to land without any naked edges showing or anything like that when I was putting the card together. So this is the bottom layer of it, and I've got shaded spruce ink, and I'm going to stamp my little pine tree here in shaded spruce. Oop, I got one side of it that's not wanting to ink up. There we go. And again, get the gunk off of this. It's little fuzzy bits from the ribbon. Like at first I thought I'd stuck ink on it. Nope, it's just ribbon bits. All right, stamping that here on the basic white cardstock, and I'm going to close this up before I stick my fingers in that. And then we're going to set that aside for a minute while we work on the main card front piece here. So this actually is 2 dies together. So I used, again, it's the third from the largest of the branching out dies. I think I can actually fit it on there that way, so I think we'll go ahead and do that. Hopefully I won't regret it later. I got lots of extra white cardstock, so if I mess it up completely, it's all right. And then I'm just going to take the little tree die from the Pine Tree Trimmings, and we're going to place it again just kind of roughly centered here in my inside the little frame die. And then this one I am going to take a couple of pieces of the Post-it note tape, or you can use blue painter's tape, whatever it is that you have that you prefer to use. And I'm going to stick these down so that when I slide this through or roll it through the die cutting machine, I don't have anything shift around, and then, I'm sad later when I got to recut everything because it's goofed up because I cut it wrong or it slid or whatever. So I'm just taking a couple little pieces of the Post-it note tape, and we'll stick those down here on the corner. And then I'm going to go roll this through my die cutting machine, so I'll be right back. All right. And then when you do that, you get your dies all stuck to everything. So let's put these paper, making a mess, get rid of that, put the dies back on the right sheets so that I'm not looking for them all later. Set those aside. So what you end up with is essentially you got your little tree cut out of your out of your white die cut. So you can cut them separately if that works better for you. I actually thought when you run it through with the stitched die and then run it back through with the tree die, it can kind of smash down the stitching on it. So I just put them in there together, ran it through, and it worked perfectly fine for me. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to generally place this over the paper that I have stamped on, and then I'm going to take paper snips, or you can use a trimmer if you're neater about this than I am, and just kind of chop away anything that you can see here. That's a little bit extra. Let me lay this back over the top again and make sure that I've got it trimmed short enough on the edges here. Again, we're just going to trim off a little bit here, a little down the edge here. Now I'm going to round that corner and maybe trim just a hair off the bottom too. And I know, see, this is why I don't fussy cut things, because this is kind of how my fussy cutting usually ends up, which is not very pretty. So, all right, but nobody can see it, I promise. So it doesn't matter how badly you've cut it. You can do a terrible job like I just did, and it is all fine. So what you want to do is just double check that it's going to fit inside here and that you don't have anything extra hanging over that you don't want peeking out from the back side of it. So that was my, again, my bad fussy cutting skills put to the test. And as you can see, I failed miserably, just like I usually do with fussy cutting. All right, so I'm going to grab some of the gold shaker stars. And again, these are part of the online exclusives. And I'm just going to take a handful, a little couple pinches of these. I wasn't brave enough to pour them directly on top because I figured I would end up accidentally dumping half the container, and then I'd have gold stars stuck to everything, including me. So I'm trying to kind of keep them roughly centered on the tree and just putting them on here till I think it looks good. That looks like a good amount to me. And I think we'll call that good. Again, I don't know, that was maybe, 4 pinches or so of these. Hey, Cindy, thanks for hopping in. And then I'm going to grab this cool little, they're called tree shaker domes, and 10 of them come in a pack. So they come in a little box like that. And what I love about these is they've got adhesive on both sides of them. So there's like a little sticker thing here, and basically you just peel it off. And then this is sticky. So I'm going to peel that off and throw it away. And I'm going to place this carefully over the top of my pile of sequins and around my tree and make sure that it's centered where I want it to be. And then we're going to smoosh it down. And the shaker part of the card is all done. So super quick and easy to do that. And then it's also, but wait, there's more. There's also adhesive on the top part of it. So you can peel that off. And then you take your awesome little die cut tree and you place it over the top. Oop, except for I just placed it over there. Oh, am I going to rip it? I may have to just leave it as it is. Let's see if I can get it. Oh, I think I got it up. All right, I did. So I put it on there upside down. Yikes. All right, so then you take the adhesive on the other side and you basically stick these together, and then there you've got your little shaker thing all done. So the shaker cards are super quick and easy with the little self-adhesive domes. Stampin' Up! Has circle domes that are available right now to you. They coordinate with that little piggy stamp set, and they work the same way. So they've got sticky on both sides of them, so they're really easy to use and really easy to make shaker cards with. All right, next up, this is where I actually wanted the Stampin' Dimensionals to stick this on. So I'm going to take a couple Stampin' Dimensionals, and we're going to put those on the back of the little shaker. Putting them here around the edges. And I'm kind of placing them so that it covers, I don't know how well you can see it, but my terrible fussy cutting. I'm putting it so that it's kind of stuck on the edges of my awful fussy cutting and on the die cut that's on the front, so it'll hold it together a little bit more. Like I said, hopefully you can see that. I'm not sure how well it shows up in the video. And then I'm going to take a couple Stampin' Dimensionals, and we're going to put them around the edges of the ribbon too, so that I don't accidentally stick a dimensional on top of the ribbon. It probably would lay down okay on this card, but just no sense in taking the risk that it's not going to work out well, and I don't want to be sad with a weird lump in the middle of my shaker. So there we go, just taking this, and I'm using those Stampin' Dimensionals to adhere this together, trying to get it roughly centered, and then smooshing it down well. And then the shaker card is pretty much done. We just need to add a sentiment, a couple little embellishments, and it'll be done. All right, for the sentiment, hopefully, I thought I had some cherry cobbler cardstock. Perhaps I've lost that completely. Hold on. Good news is the cherry cobbler cardstock was not far out of reach. We're going to grab a little bit of the embossing buddy, and we're going to rub it over the top of the cardstock. That helps to take any oil from your fingers, if you have fingerprints on it or anything like that, and helps keep static electricity down when you're doing your embossing. So we're going to heat emboss the sentiment, and this one says, "'Tis the season." And again, this is a sentiment from the Pine Tree Trimmings stamp set. And we're going to heat emboss it with gold embossing powder. And gold embossing powder is from the Metallics Wow embossing powders. You get a set of gold, silver, and copper when you buy those. So, oh, I'm glad you're liking the shaker card. Like I said, they're a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to making some more of them. So, although, like I said, I won't be making them for everybody that I mail the card to, because, yeah, they won't be mailed with one stamp, that's for sure. So, all right. So I'm giving it just a minute, my heat tool here. So the Stampin' Up! Heat tool has 2 settings on it. There's a level 1 setting for drying. So if you're doing something like heat embossing, doing something like watercoloring and want to speed up the drying a little bit, or you're using an ink that takes a little bit longer to dry, you can use the level 1 setting. It doesn't get quite as hot. But level 2 setting does get warmer, and it's designed for heat embossing. So I'm just giving the heat tool a minute to heat up here, turning it towards the project, and I just want to wait until I see that kind of shiny, smooth look of the embossing powder. Then I know it's done heating. And I don't want to overheat it because it doesn't look very pretty. It gets all dull and brown and burnt if you do that. Then I'm going to grab my die from the More Messages dies, and we're just going to take this little piece and put it around here. That's the one bonus of this die set, is that if you've cut your paper appropriately, which I clearly got too big of a piece out, but if you cut a littler piece of cardstock, you don't waste very much of it, because you can just put the section in that needs to be die cut, and then you'll be good to go. So let me go roll this through the die cutting machine. I'll be right back. All right. Well, maybe. There we go. So our little sentiment is all done. I'm going to go back to my card front, and we're going to put a little bit of adhesive on the back of here. So I'm going to use a little Stampin' Seal on the one side. I'm going to use a Stampin' Dimensional on the other. And I'm going to take that, stick it way out towards the edge of it, just because I know that this is going to land on the undimensionalized part of my card. I'm going to take this, peel it off, and then we'll slide the sentiment right here next to my tree. Hopefully get it on here fairly straight. There we go. And then the last thing for the card front is I did use some of these really pretty faceted snowflakes. These are cherry cobbler, shaded spruce, and then I'm not sure, I don't know whether they call them clear or silver or whatever, but just very pretty, very festive for the holidays, for winter, and really pretty. So I think I put 3 of the cherry cobbler, so I think I'll do 3 of the shaded spruce on this one. So 1 shaded spruce here, 1 of the bigger shaded spruce over here, and then 1 of the smaller ones there. And then we'll grab a couple of the cherry cobbler. So I'll do 1 of the larger ones down here, and then maybe a smaller one up here next to the shaded spruce. So there we go. We'll smush those down. And that's it for the card front. So super quick and easy. And shaker cards are lots of fun. So, all right. Inside of the card, I kept pretty simple. Just have a sentiment on the inside and a little bit of the designer paper that I carried over from the card front. So cherry cobbler is the ink that I'm using on the inside of my card. So I've just got the Sending Christmas Wishes. And again, this is all from the Pine Tree Trimmings stamp set. Close this up before I stick my fingers in that too. And then this is a little bit of the designer series paper that I trimmed off when I was making the card front. It's, I don't know, 5/8 of an inch, 3/4 of an inch, something like that. It's probably a little bit longer than what I need it to be, but usually I try to make them a little longer so that I've got a little bit of wiggle room on it. If I accidentally goof something up, don't stick it on quite straight, I can trim off the excess. So trim that off here. There we go. And then stick this to the inside of the card, and it's going to be all done. So there you go. And you got your first shaker card of the season done. So these are always lots of fun to make. And you've never made a shaker card, Amy? You need to get this stuff. Yep. And make sure you buy the little shaker domes from Stampin' Up. Either get the circle ones or the tree ones, because it makes it way, way easier. Shaker cards in the past used to be kind of a pain in the butt with the way the old domes used to work, at least the ones I tried, but the Stampin' Up! Ones are awesome. So I love that they've got adhesive on both sides, which makes it really easy for putting the shakery things on. Shakery, shakers, whatever. You know, putting the shaky stuff inside the shaker and then sticking it down and shaky. All right, enough about shaking. So there you go. So that is my card share today. All the details will be on my blog tomorrow, which is stampwithamyk.com. And I will have a printable PDF tutorial out there, as well as a link back to this video. When the blog post goes live around 8 o'clock in the morning Eastern time on Saturday, I'll link to the link directly to it in the description on the video, so you'll be able to go over there and find the details anytime. Going to have all the cardstock cuts, all the products that I used to make it, so you can make a couple of these of your own. So there you go. All right. Thanks everybody for being here. I will plan to be live around 2 o'clock Eastern time on Tuesday, and then again around 2 o'clock Eastern time next week, Friday. And definitely you need to give a shaker card a try. Like I said, they're super quick and easy, especially with the shaker domes that have the double sticky on them. Way, way easier than any of them that I've ever used in the past. All right. Thanks again, everybody, for being here. Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll plan to see you all on Tuesday.